St Helens Town Centre. That'll do. Okay, I've at the end of a recent video, I did a driving instructor video on signals at roundabouts, and I've just picked up what I needed to pick up here in Warrington. And because I've got all the cameras set up still, I'm going to drive home. So we're going to do another little subject, and it's quite a simple one. It's speed limits. I'm going to be explaining a little bit about how we tell the speed limit and what I do to constantly update myself with the speed limit. And that's key to actually not getting yourself caught out with it. A lot of the stuff that I've done recently is regarding getting rid of fluff. Fluff is doing stuff that you don't need to do, or letting your attention be with stuff that you don't need it to be on. There's many things. Looking at the speedo as opposed to listening to the engine is a big part of it. Looking at your gears, looking at the handbrake, looking at your sat nav too much, looking at a camera if you're videoing yourself while driving, and please don't. The skill that I've improved with over the years, of that ability just to talk about what I'm wanting to talk about and still observe my surroundings, is a skill that driving instructors are still actually pretty poor at, if I was honest. But it's a skill that I've worked on over the years, and even though I'm talking about a particular subject, I'm not directly looking at the camera all the time. I'm looking at my surroundings. So there's an element of fluff about that, but it's down to this fluff usually because people have, over the years, they've got really bad at judging the width of the vehicle. Just seeing the size of the Jaguar, it's not even the biggest of cars, pull up next to us. People worry about the size, and because they worry about the size, they're looking at the floor so much. And that, honestly, in my opinion, is the reason why most people miss speed limits. So I'm just going to give you an idea of a few things. I've set the sat nav to St Helens Town Centre, the college in St Helens, and I don't know which way it's going to take me. I don't actually know Warrington. We're in Warrington at the minute. I don't know which way it's actually going to take me. So what would you say the speed limit is here? It says on a little camera over there it's 5, but that's just down the back. Which way are we going? We're going left. I would say that this is a 30 limit, and I'll explain why. It's built up. There are street lamps and there are no signs, and that's the key to it. If there are no signs and it's built up street lamps, it's generally going to be a 30 limit. If you see nothing, generally it's going to be 30. Most of the other speed limits you are reminded of. Going ahead at the roundabout because it's the first exit, a left signal. I'm just going to let this lady cross as well. You're quite all right. Again, a near-death experience because I've given way to a pedestrian on the approach to a roundabout. There were no signs as I entered that junction, and that's usually where they are going to be. They're going to be at junctions. I'm just going to use my limiter as well. It's a nice way to keep you good with speed limits. Are there any signs here as I enter this junction? And a roundabout is a junction. For all the silly people think that it's not. Of course it's a junction. No signs there. I've seen nothing, and that's good enough for me. Turning right at this roundabout, no signs entering it, no change in speed limit. We can assume that it's still the same as it was. Let's have a little look at the exit. Is there any signs here? No. So do you notice I'm just constantly keeping myself updated? Any signs as I come onto this roundabout? No. silver one is not coming round, so I'm all good. As many signs as I exit. Oh, no problems. So it's still 30. All good. So the reason why people miss speed limit signs is sometimes because they're not there. They're not all perfect. But it's because they're often taken up with fluff. Their attention's taken up with fluff, usually, like I said, because they're looking down at the floor to judge the width of the car so much. It's not happening. Not with me, anyway. So, it's a speed limit. Still the same, isn't it? No signs, nothing. The sizes of sign mean different things. A large sign, generally on both sides of the road, size of an old dustbin lid is a speed limit change. For example, the no entry sign on the right hand side, that sort of size, that's what I'm talking about. A smaller sign, a repeater dinner plate sort of size, would be this is new to me. 40, here we go. I'll deal with this. I'll deal with that in a minute. It's fine. So it's changed to 40 unless we see something different. Now, I think the left lane, does it go left onto the motorway? Me and the BMW got our, am I in the wrong lane again? I think I am, yeah. I have gone the wrong lane. So, oh no, sending me on Liverpool. So I'm okay, totally fine. It's new to me. I always remember last time I've been here to Gemini, must have been a few years ago, they exited always out into that roundabout. That's new. In any case, that's a little bit of fluff. Do you notice as well, that's what I talk about with fluff, that even myself, even talking about speed limits there, got something wrong. Well, didn't in the end. Fixed it, sorted it, knew where people were around. But I didn't get it perfect straight from the off because mind was on other things. It was on driving things, but it was on other things. So it's still 30 until I go past this sign. Now, it's 70. So let's go. Okay, so notice my speed of emerge. Yeah, I'm all good. Polestar's in lane 2, matched my speed to everyone else, and then allowed the Polestar just to cruise past. I am going to try and get myself out. Notice the importance of the signal. Thank you, sir. So, motorway, national speed limit road. It is effectively a dual carriageway because there's a central reservation, so it is a 70 miles an hour limit. Quite straightforward, we all know that, but I'm going off at the next junction. I can see that already. But I'm just going to go back to what I was talking about the signs. So the large signs, dustbin lid, as we saw with the 40 as we exited Gemini there, speed limit changed at the junction. So you think if your attention was with just those floor markings, and there's too much there if I was honest, to work out every single one where you are a lot of the time with these complex junctions. It is a little bit of a gamble sometimes. There should probably have been a clearer sign on the approach, but again, there's not a big volume of traffic there. You can fix it, you can sort it. But speed limits at junctions, usually because people's eyes are down, that's where it becomes a problem. Why don't we have any reminder signs on a motorway? Well, you don't need to, nothing changes, and it is that straightforward. Just remember, if you're slowing down to a slower speed limit, you need to be at that slower speed limit prior to getting to the sign. And before you do, have a little check your mirrors, know what's going on around, adjust your slow down to suit people around. And if you're accelerating, like I did with the motorway sign, once I got past the motorway sign, I then accelerated up to the speed that I needed, obviously within the 70, to then sort the emerge out. So keep an eye on that. Before you accelerate as well, know where everyone is around. If someone was overtaking you, you shouldn't be just accelerating at the same rate. Adjust and make sure you don't cause yourself or the person overtaking any issue. If you're being overtaken, back off, let it happen quicker. And that same piece of advice goes to lorry drivers when they get overtaken as well by another lorry. You just keep the cruise on and just keep going. Anyway, leaving motorway, what I'd like you to have a little look is where the speed limit does change. BMW got themselves literally 10 seconds further up the road and then slows the lorry driver down. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Just making sure I've got a little escape route to this side in case the private hire's got any issue that's broken down. No, all good. So yeah, these two leaving it late, just think of how far it got them, and it just interrupted the flow. It got them no further. All right, it got them 2 places, got them in front of me. Whoopie-doo. It's ridiculous. Anyway, speed limits. Let's not diversify, Ashley. I am turning right at the roundabout. A570, it's the link road back into St Helens. Let's have a little look. This is still 70, although you wouldn't be careering in here. You can see the yellow lines highlighting how close they are together. It highlights people's speed. It did get the BMW through the lights, so fair play. Overtake and push in whenever you want. It's definitely beneficial. Obviously tongue in cheek. So where's the speed limit change? Have we seen one? So is this still a national speed limit? If you're sensible about it, you'd realise, no, you should not be driving at national speed limits around this roundabout. But as you can see, the signs aren't brilliant. Is this one the sign, but it's been twisted round and knocked? Possibly. Just gonna have a look in the mirror as I go around. No, there's no entry. Okay, I've said. So there's no speed limits. Still a national speed limit. There you go. Does the speed limit change? No. It is still a national speed limit. Interesting. It is interesting that I've never actually noticed this particular roundabout being a national speed limit. Should we go around again and see how fast we can go? No, we're not. But I did say, did I miss a sign? It is possible sometimes. If your attention's with something else, if your attention's just watching maybe someone else a bigger danger to you, you might miss something. What other benefits have we got nowadays? Well, we've got these things. We've got our sat-nav screens, because they do give us a pretty good idea. There's a speed limit change going into a road, so we're allowed to do 70 on here, but it cuts it down to 60 in this situation. So we'll get on with it. We'll make a little bit of progress. Repeater signs, let's see how many there are. There's one there. Jag's doing the speed limit, so that'll do me. All good. So we've seen a couple of repeater signs. Another one on the right hand side. Know me escape route, just in case of this to the left. So they're quite big for repeater signs. There's another one on the left. So already we've travelled half a mile and already had 4 or 5 repeater signs. So generally you are going to be told quite often. So therefore, if you don't see anything, like I said, you assume it was the last one you saw. No issues. We've got a couple of others going into St Helens, a little bit further up here. Okay, no probs. Are there any signs going into my road? And I can do that, and I can look up, because I'm trusting where my left knee is positioned all the time. So I'm not looking down here at the floor to see where my car is positioned. I can spend my time looking up, and I've already seen a 40 and I'm reducing, and making certain, if possible, that you can do all your slowing. It's not always possible, but all your slowing prior to the let's reapply my limiter. Make sure all your slowing's done prior to the speed limit changing. Maybe on the approach that you need a little bit of brake as a warning if someone was particularly close. But ideally, do it just by backing off. If you don't do it just by backing off, there's some forward further planning that you probably need to do. It's not always possible. Like I said, you don't get brilliant signage all the time, but it's what it is. So, still 40 until we get past the sign. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make some progress, because this is exactly what I wanted down here. Let's get rid of my limiter up to 50. I'm not going to push out there. It's a little bit too close. Even at the speed that I'm at, this will still be an interesting one. Further down, it does slow down to a 30 limit prior to the roundabout. And this is probably the final main point of what I'd like to get across with this video. It's making sure you take a little bit of pride in doing the correct things. This is a particularly difficult one though. I might decide not quite to get to 30. I'm going to get out here. And now I'm going to get back. And do you notice my speed? I'm just letting it slow down naturally. I'm just using my brakes lightly, because people don't do, and I'm using my brakes a little bit more to control this one behind as well. So super awkward, and it was the perfect scenario just to make it a little bit more difficult. Do you notice what speed I came through that speed limit at? What should I have done? Jumped on the brakes in lane 2? No. So I moved back when I wasn't overtaking, helping the vehicle out. But then, because it would have been a harsh slow down with the vehicle being so close behind, I purposefully went through, I think it was about 36, but then slowed down smoothly after. Did the vehicle that's now behind me, the Ford Focus, have plenty of time to realise I was coming back in, see the signs and still slow down? Yes. So how would that stand up in court if I was going to get maybe a ticket in the post for that? It's an interesting one. I think if you had a dash camera and were able to explain your choices and your way of thinking with that awkward scenario, I think they'd show a little bit of leniency, because it's pretty obvious that I'm not trying to break speed limits. Not saying you should, but it's a perfect example to finish with. 20 limits is the last little thing I'd just like to just talk about. A 20 speed limit is generally going to be in a housing estate. So a connecting road is generally one that's going to be 30. In a housing estate, generally you're going to find it's 20. We're not talking about all around the country as well. A lot of the connecting roads in London now are 20 miles an hour. And obviously I've been to Wales. I did the video on the motorbike in Wales, where a lot of the limits are now 20. But we're talking outside of those unusual areas. These things that we're talking about apply in most areas. So, eyes up. Is there any different speed limit apart from 40? No. Just just want to try and show you an estate a little bit further up, see if there's an example that I can talk about. Change my limiter back down to 40. I've talked many times as well about, you're going to cancel my sat nav as well now. Notice the time that I cancelled it where there was nothing going on as well. So again, get rid of the fluff, or if you've got to do fluff, you do it at an appropriate time. So I'm going to try and go past what I call an estate, and we'll see whether there's a speed limit. Speed limit change here again. Again, if you're flying in, if you're approaching too fast, if you're looking down on the floor, can you understand how that you may miss obvious signs? And there's so many times that I don't need to do anything with the police. Doesn't affect me here whatsoever. Interesting. Are you playing chase me? I think they possibly are. I often see this around St Helens as well. There is a training centre just off the Linkway, just back there. We actually came past the roundabout near it before, and I often see them playing chase me. I think that was potentially chase me. I think they were probably going out to play chase me. Don't know, because it's usually the unmarked car, which is obviously the being chased car. Is that someone else? Did I hear? No, it was probably just the reverberation of their sound from a different place, bouncing off buildings and bits and bobs. So, yeah, 20 limits. Let's have a quick look a bit further up and see what's what. What are the speed limits like in your town or city where you live? I think the area that I live, I think they're generally pretty good. I don't think that they are excessive. I'm talking about fast or slow. I think the balance is quite right. I just wish that there was a little bit more enforcement of them. That is my only wish, if I was honest. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead at the roundabout. Just looking at this guy to my right. This guy was looking in his left mirror and he's held back. He wants to come in here. How observant are you? Do you pick up on stuff like that? It's not that Ashley's psychic, it's just because I watch behaviour. I don't rely on signals, which I was talking about in the last video. Yes, Sue, one of my instructors. Speed limit is 30, no problems. Let's have a little look into a side street or two, see what's what. Notice I'm not doing 30 here, I'm doing 25, 26, and that was because of the vision that it didn't have to the side. So just because it is a 30 limit, don't think that that is the speed that you should be driving at. The speed that you should be driving at is told to you by the whole scenario. It's not your speedo or what the speed limit is. Side road, nothing in there. That would still be a 30, unless the signs are wrong. Side road to the right, that would still be a 30. Road ahead that we're going on to, this would still be a 30 because there's no signs. We're built up street lamps, no signs. That road to the left was also a 30. So constantly keep yourself updated with it. But again, what speed am I driving at? I think that's all right. I'm thinking whether or not someone could run out, and I'm looking here. Notice how I've just adjusted my position away from that blue van, because the things that are bigger and more solid have less vision behind. This is tighter packed with parked cars, so my speed's reduced even further. behind the minibus to the right. I'm looking under it for feet, but I was just a fair bit slower. Is what it is. Maybe it wasn't a chase me. Looks as though there's a police car going up there. No speed limit change coming out onto the one-way system, so it is still 30. Many 20s in St Helens. Maybe I'm just picking the wrong place, but we'll go up, have a little look in a moment. So have a little look at a few of these side streets. Any speed limit change in there? No. Yes. There we go. So that one was a 20 limit. This one on the left is a 20 limit. So that's what I call into an estate, as opposed to the rowdy driver just sat next to people. Terrible driving. Absolutely awful. Selfish, poor road user. In any case, just deal with it. So you get where I'm coming from. Hopefully that helps. Speed limits are there as a maximum. Don't forget, there's been a few scenarios that I've gone through today that I've pointed out that it's not suitable to do the speed limit for the speed of that BMW flying down there. Ridiculous. Someone walks out, a young kid walks out, it's 1:30, it's on a Friday. Schools maybe get out a little bit early in different places. It's ridiculous. Thank you, van driver. You're a gent. But yeah, speed limits, people do get wrapped up too much with them. I was doing no more than the speed limit. Rubbish. I know this is a little bit of a rant with that, but it's rubbish. The speed limits, honestly, are a little irrelevant. To an extent that if people were good enough, if people really did pay attention to what they can't see behind these cars, what they can't see behind these, and what could come the other way. I'm not looking at my speed to work out what speed I'm actually going to go. I'm just looking at the scenario. And again, people spend far too much time looking at the floor. They just have it in the back of their mind. It's a 30 limit. I can do 30. I'm going to constantly look at this, take my attention away from actually what is happening. The Morrison's van driver's going to walk out. I've got an escape route. Slowed it down. 23. No issues. But again, I said it on the last video. I'm going to say it on this one. My viewership, you're a little bit different. You make me proud. You make me proud of your stories that you tell and the videos that you do send in. Amazing community. I'd like to thank you all for your support. And let's keep this quest for road safety improving. I will see you all soon.